So I am going to share my screen with you. Give me just a moment. And you will notice too that as I'm sharing my screen and I'm going through things, I'm going to mostly be kind of facing this way because this is my really big monitor. I have a smaller monitor here, but it's far enough away that it's hard for me to see if I don't have, there we go, if I don't have everything. All right, now let's talk about Brad Pitt, shall we? So Brad Pitt is a senior creative director in brand and design, and he worked for a big tech company, a leading global provider of information technology, consulting, and business process services. It's great. So we've got the first page, and it actually, for a chronological, it's down to 2 pages, which is nice. It only goes back to 2006, which that's 15 years. So unless he's looking for C-suite position, 15 years is very good. So if he's wanting to move up into a VP position, I think he's qualified for it if we can show some substantiation of some of the claims that he's got in here that he says impressive revenue, but there's no numbers. So we need to know what impressive revenue means. So we're going to talk through this. As you can see, we've got areas of expertise on the left-hand side. You've got up here, you've got the summary paragraph. Great, I just highlighted that. Let me take that off for a second. All right, so we've got that, and I'm going to bring it in, but I just want to go over the different sections. We've got professional experience. There's a large white space up here, which I actually like white space. We don't have as much white space on ours, but what we found out was that this one actually is in 9-point font, and we never go below 11-point font. So it is important to have something that's readable in real life, because you would be surprised at the number of hiring managers, especially at the senior level, VP and above, even director and above. They like to print things out and hold it in their hands. So instead of zooming in like we're going to do right now, well, I got to go over the different sections. Instead of zooming in, they're going to print it out and they're going to go, I need my reading. Even with my reading glasses, I can't see that. So there's an issue right there. We've got areas of expertise, and we'll talk about those. You got honors and awards on the first page, which is excellent. It doesn't say what those honors and awards are about or what he did to earn those honors and awards. And last, he was Senior Creative Director, Global Brand and Design Lead. And I believe he left his employer in August. So he's been looking for 6 months. On the second page, we've got his Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design and the Web Design Certificate under Education. He's got Professional Development, which is nice. And then he's got Technical Proficiency, which we will talk about. And this just goes back. This is Creative Director, Associate Creative Director, and then Senior Design Consultant, all with the same employer. And it goes back again, 2006, and then yeah. So if we look, it does say further experience available upon request. And if we look at down here, he's got one of his testimonials or one of his LinkedIn recommendations down here at the bottom. So it says, I worked with Brad Pitt for 10 years and he served on Corporate Creative Director, Global Design. So we're going to go ahead and now we're going to go in. Let me go up to 150% so you guys can see this really well, especially if you guys are on the phone. If you are on the phone, I believe the best way to watch me is to turn your phone horizontal rather than vertical, especially with iPhones, and that will give you a bigger picture. It should give you a big picture, I think. So if we look at Brad Pitt, it looks nice and clean, right? So you've seen this resume, right? Okay, now I have a poll for you. I have a question. Very curious about this. The poll is, how much would you pay for this resume? So I'd really like to know. Let me go into polls. All right, cool. All right, started. So I just started a poll, and I really quickly want to know how much would you pay for this resume? And then I'll tell you the going rate for resumes. And okay, 100%, $300. Now, just because I'm going to tear it apart doesn't mean that it's only worth $300. But also keep in mind that the owner of this is going to be watching this after the fact. So, let me know. So far, 100% say $300. I'll give it a couple more minutes. I really do want to know. So let's leave the poll up for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we will get into, you can take it down after that. Well, that's nice. Look at that. See, so we're giving him a little bit of love by saying 750. That's good. Okay. Oh, it's climbing. Now that I'm saying that he's going to be watching this, it's climbing. That's really interesting. I love human behavior. I'm fascinated by that. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So we can actually, it's a pretty telling sign that most everybody says $300. A little bit of them say 750. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and we'll get into Brad Pitt's thing. Let's see. Give me just a second. Got to get there. That's why we're doing this live. Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn on my highlighter now. There we go. Oh, I just turned it off. Turn it back on. Okay. So I like what we see up top here. It's very, very clean, very simple. Clean and simple, and also two-dimensional seems to be the way to go in graphic design these days. So here's someone who is judged on his graphic design of his resume. Think about that. So he is a senior creative director of brand and design. So his focus is more on branding and of course, the creative design lead that he needs to be in order to make sure that everything that goes out for his company is beautiful. So this has to be beautiful. And so you've got his email account, you've got his phone number, you've got a .com, which is awesome. If you don't have a .com, if you haven't bought your own name, you should. And if you have an MBA, do your own name MBA. Or you could even do dot. You could do like first name dot, last name dot MBA, or .exec@gmail.com. And I would recommend Gmail, not Hotmail, not AOL. Trust me, if you got an AOL, I know who you are. You're out there. So let's go ahead and read through this summary paragraph. So here are the things that I like about it. Here are the things that could be improved. So I like the fact that it's about the right size, except it's in 9-point font, but regardless, it's about the right size of a paragraph. Now, what I'm looking for in that paragraph is to tell me about Brad. I want to know, who is this guy? How does he work? What is he looking for? I'm assuming he's looking for a senior creative director. So that's what he held before. If he wants to move up to a VP, I'm still seeing him as a senior creative director in brand and design. Now, he worked for a massive, massive large company. So a senior creative director might be a chief creative officer in a mid-sized company. And mid-size mid-size technically is 250 million to 500 million, but he could easily be a CCO for, say, 750 million to $1 billion a year. He could still be a CCO, assuming he's got some really good numbers to back this up. So let's go through this. I'm going to read this out loud, and I want you to listen to it. And here's what I want you to think when I'm reading it. I want you to be able, after this paragraph, to explain to me in one sentence who Brad Pitt is and why is he different, well, besides his face, why is he different than another creative director of brand and design, okay? So it says, highly accomplished and proven global brand creative leader with dynamic experience in determining and bringing to life the creative vision of a brand/project to achieve organizational success. That isn't ambiguous. Confident, collaborative relationship builder and multitasker. And as we know, nobody multitasks really. It's not a good idea. So that's a little outdated because there's science to show that nobody really multitasks. With demonstrated excellence in spearheading design managers to meet business demands, leading global team design concepts in fast-paced and ambiguous settings, seasoned in building credibility with executive management, key internal stakeholders, and external agency partners by leveraging excellent communication and interpersonal skills. Now, I'm not saying that to be snarky. I'm reading that saying, okay, to me, when I read that, I see word salad. I'm not making any sense of this whatsoever because I don't know how Brad is different than any other creative director. So let me know if you read that and you can summarize in a phrase or one sentence what this guy's about and why I should call him, do so. Put it out on the chat. And I'm actually going to take a moment to look at the chat. Let me look real quickly. You like the look of the resume, but hard to focus on his skills in this format. Okay, very good. Brad Pitt is, what does it say? What do you say, George? Is not going to be jazzed with this hostile audience? Oh my gosh, 0 is not an option. All right, excellent. Be nice, be nice. All right, so let me get back to my PDF. All right, we're going to scroll down. This is a clean design. I am 100% on board with that. So he's been looking for 6 months full time. He left on his own voluntarily. He was burned out, which if you're completely burned out and you hate your job, you should be leaving. You should be finding something else. And if you've got the wherewithal to be able to sustain a sustainable search, then absolutely you should be doing that. Let's talk about the areas of expertise. And these are very light, so I'm going to have to look over here to the side. But something about areas of expertise that I want to explain to you. Don't add those things that are a given for the position that you want to apply for. In other words, don't add things that if you are a senior creative director, you should be able to do it in your sleep. And if you're going to put all of these areas of expertise, I mean, can you really be an expert in all of this stuff, including corporate event design and planning? So, I mean, it's creative design, design direction. Well, yeah, he just said that up here. So there's something that's said twice: executive level communication, corporate brand and visual identity, brand management and standards. Okay, so let's talk about, for instance, what he's going after and who the audience is. I don't think that this resume takes into account his audience. It might, but you always have to think about, if you're going to write your own resume, think about who's going to read it. Is it going to be somebody within your function, HR function? Is it somebody within IT? If it's not somebody within IT, for instance, if you're sending it, if you want to be a CIO or a VP of IT and you're sending it to the COO or the CEO, then make sure you don't have any jargon in there. Make sure that all those acronyms are gone. Just wipe them clean. They'll ask you about them if they're interested in ISO 9000 or whatever the number is now. If they want to know ITIL and all those wonderful things, which they probably don't unless you're in San Francisco, then don't even put them in because they don't care. They want to know what you can do for the business. What is it that you do for the business that's different than anybody else that I may talk to? So think about your audience. Who is it that you're talking to? And talk to them in a way that is clear, concise, memorable, understandable, and compelling for that level of person. Okay? All right, let's go down here. We've got so many here. Like, for instance, active listener is in between team leadership and mentorship and resource allocation. So resource allocation and team leadership are two hard skills because they're experience factors. And then we've got active listener, which is a soft skill in the middle of this. And when you look at everything else that we have here, active listener is the only soft skill in this entire thing. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit right here. You know, you could put it up in the summary paragraph, because the summary paragraph, man, I'm dangerous with this. The summary paragraph is really designed to connect the dots between what you've done in the past and what you can do for them. You know, going back to this summary, did you notice that it's in resume speak? It's not in complete sentences. And so I always write our summary paragraphs in not only complete sentences, but first person. And I do it in first person because there have been a lot of studies to show that first person is read the easiest. It's the easiest narrative to understand. It's the easiest to remember. It's more memorable. And since they read faster, they will read more, which we found to be the case. So write that first paragraph in first person, little blurb, okay? First person, complete sentences. And it ends with excellent communication and interpersonal skills, but it doesn't tell me that really, when you read that, it doesn't say what you're going to do for me. So if I'm looking at Brad and I don't know Brad from Adam, then I'm reading this going, okay, so, but what can you do for me? You're a multitasker and a relationship builder. Okay, so what are you going to do for my business? What are you going to do for me? And maybe that's, you know, a little bit, I know that the audience has been brutal. I don't want to be too brutal on Brad. Let's take away this here. Just a second. Okay, let's go. So we talked about areas of expertise. Let's talk about professional experience. You've got Big Tech Inc. And then there is this long, this is in 9-point font also. And it's a large paragraph that I believe is supposed to talk about his scope of responsibility. So you read through all of that. It says accelerated the company's annual report, executive presentations, thought leadership, ad campaigns, comprehensive branding initiatives through design strategy and business insights. Okay. Conducted data-driven research on new and emerging trends. Wouldn't you think that that's a given? A lot of, actually, this is a given. Introduced competitive standards for brand material to bolster the visual strategy of the company. And I believe there was something around bringing in more money, but perhaps not. Okay, so then if we go down to the bullets, let's dissect the bullets, shall we? This is where the rubber meets the road. Now this is, on our own resume, this is where we always have a quantifiable result, meaning a number, and we always bold that number if it's impressive, so that you've got a resume with a bunch of bold, big, hopefully, numbers, and we help you determine those numbers so we could put all of those in there. And if you've got a half a page of number after number after number after number, and all of them are really big, you're going to get a phone call. You're going to get a phone call. Now, when we look at these, something that I noticed on these, and I don't know that you can read this, especially if you're on your phone, but I'll give you a really good an example of what I'm talking about. Optimized creative leader. This is the first bullet. Optimized creative leader and brand authority for a $17 billion organization by leveraging executive leadership skills while delivering exceptional design experience across Fortune 200 company by enhancing efficiency of 280,000 associates globally. Now I can take a breath. That is one sentence, and that is 4 lines. So my question to you is, if you were the hiring manager for Brad Pitt and you got this resume in front of you, human eyeballs, not ATS system, but a human eyeball, but 2 human eyeballs, hopefully. When you look through each of these, they're all one sentence, and most of them are 4, sometimes 5 lines. And it's still, I'm looking at it, and it's one sentence. So, I look at this and I went, wow, there's a lot there. But the only numbers that are on here are, like, for instance, the $17 billion organization, 280,000 associates. We've got a $1.3 trillion digital market opportunity. That's just an opportunity. That's how big the digital marketplace is. It doesn't say how he was able to penetrate that or increase the just the brand awareness. I need to know how we increase the brand awareness. So it does say reduced external dependency and cost by 40%. So let's say he's going for a CCO, Chief Creative Officer. If I look at reducing external dependency and cost by 40%, I'm thinking, if you're an internal creative design director, wouldn't you be able to do more in-house? Why is it only 40%? That's just me. I would want to know about that. And you can only do what you can do in a $17 billion organization. I totally get that. There are several places in here. Well, most of them, here we go. This is what I'm looking for right here. Here we go. So this says facilitated 285,000 associates globally by overhauling the user interface for organization's first digital workspace called bigtechinc.com. And that led to minimizing overall cost and maximizing key client satisfaction. All right. So I would want to know, when you maximize key client satisfaction, what exactly does that mean? And what's a key client? So if you're going to say, like, Fortune 500 clients or enterprise-wide clients, you could say something like that. But I want to know, if you maximized key client satisfaction, I want to know maybe a CSAT score or maybe an NPS score, some kind of score that shows me a before and after picture, that it went from this to this. That's what's going to persuade. Human beings are really attracted to numbers. And if you put a lot of numbers in the resume, even if they're not impressive, you can use percentages. You can use, for instance, reduction in cycle time, reduction in man hours. There's so many different things. Maybe a process that used to take 3 weeks, you were able to get it down to just a half hour, whatever it might be. You'd want to put that down. And you've got, there really aren't a lot of numbers, with the exception of, like, the 285,000 associates. Now, this is $2 billion in influenced lead revenue by doing multiple large-scale global events. I would like to know more about that. I think that there are probably, if we were to work with him, we could pick out a lot of numbers. And that's one thing that we do pretty frequently, and that is we will take one example, one key achievement that you're really proud of, and we might add, for instance, in a functional one-page resume, we might add a little bit of that here and then another aspect of it down here, because it might fall under leadership, but the operational turnaround might fall under operational turnaround specialist, something like that. So we take different aspects of it. We don't duplicate. You never want to duplicate. You just want to make sure that you're saying, if you're saying different things, that they all flow smoothly. Okay, so we're going to go. So I didn't even talk about the honors and awards. So with the honors and awards, I'm curious that he doesn't say what he won them for. So, okay, so we've got an in-house design award. We've got a best corporate function CEO award. So those are probably internal. And then we've got deep awards for publication excellence and Graphic Design USA Design Award brand identity. Okay, that sounds maybe impressive if Graphic Design USA is a big, big magazine. But I'd love to know what he got it for and what year. Okay, so then we go down here. His education is on the second page. I have been told by more than one recruiter and a big handful of HR people, my colleagues, that say that if it's not important enough to put on the front page, they don't have time to read it. Think about that. So what's hiding on your second page or your third page? Do you have some really great numbers that you'd really like to show off, but you can't because it's chronological? Well, I'm going to show you how to make a functional resume. Functional means skills-based, and it's in functions, so it's not chronological, which is it's different, but it works. It works. So he also has professional development. So he's got all of these different conferences that he went to, summits that he went to, and South by Southwest and National Retail Federation. You know, unless I'm retail, I don't really want that. South by Southwest, I'd want to know actually what about South by Southwest? Just because you attend doesn't mean that you've developed professionally. I want to know about that. And maybe they had an entry or something. I don't know. So creative director, corporate brand and design lead. We've got, again, a really long paragraph here that talks about scope of responsibility. You should not have 4 to 5 lines of one sentence, really. It just means that the resume writer or writers, and he had let me know, he and I have been corresponding this morning. He did let me know how much he paid for it, and I'll tell you a little later. And then he also said that there were 2 resume writers that were working on it at the same time. And so we actually have a multi-stage process as well. So this is a lot that if there was just more time taken, could shrink it down and make it more concise. And when you have something distilled, actually, Clay, our COO, likes to say caramelized. And so I like caramelized too, because I'm a foodie. So it distills down everything you've done. And the sentences you'll find when we go over to a CRC resume, the sentences are really short and to the point and punchy. That's what you want. That's what you want, is something that's really compelling. And then this is probably the second to last thing I'm going to talk about on here. And that is the technical proficiency. He's got expert knowledge in Adobe Creative Cloud, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and then he's got Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. So, and the whole, so he's proficient in Excel. He's proficient, he's expert in Word and PowerPoint. But come on, by the time you've got that much experience, you should be proficient in it. You should be good at it. So if I'm hiring a VP or if I'm hiring a chief creative officer, do I care that he knows how to use Word or PowerPoint? No, not really. Not really. Because that VP is probably not going to be making slide decks for me. So just something I wanted to tear up a little bit. Technical proficiency. The way to interpret what I just said was you want to make sure that not only are you getting rid of the stuff that's a given that you should have that's not a differentiator for you, like table stakes is what they call that, right? So as long as you've got the stuff that is above and beyond, and you've distilled it down into a very small sentence and not a 4 or 5 line sentence, to me, from a resume writer standpoint, that means the resume writers were somewhat lazy because they didn't want to take the time. It takes much longer time to get things down to one sentence if it's not 6 lines long, 5 lines long. So, and then we go into senior design consultant. I do like that he says further experience available upon request. Now, that doesn't mean that he started in 2006 unless I go up here. And yes, it looks like he did start in 2006 because that's start date right there. So he's got all of his experience at this one company, and he's saying additional experience you can have. And then down here, we've got a very long, again, paragraph that says some really nice things about him from former SVP and Chief Brand Officer, the big tech company, Global Marketing. So this is from most likely his boss, because it says, Brad was on my team for 10 years. Tackled assignments with enthusiasm, always making sure projects were strategically aligned and positioned for top-tier brand leadership. He's very talented and can easily toggle between traditional and modern marketing and branding tactics. Had the utmost confidence in creative. Yep, we're going to go right here. And so I just don't want to show who it is. That's nice, but it's not what I want to see as a first impression. Now, what they could have done is used this person's input, meaning the testimonial, pieces of it to put in the summary paragraph. It's beautiful. I mean, it tells me more about Brad Pitt than the summary paragraph does. And that's why we always read any LinkedIn testimonials, because they really give a good idea of who this person is. So looking at this resume, I'd like to know in the chat, I'd love to know, actually, I'm going to stop share. Okay, so look, I just want to know in the chat, given all that information, would you give Brad Pitt a call? I mean, now that you have seen everything, if he was looking for a senior director of brand and design, senior creative director, would you give him a call? Let me know. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Sylvia. Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and tell you how much he paid. So I don't know exactly when he got it done, but it was recently because he left in August. He paid $1,300, which was at the top of that poll, top of the list. And I hope I didn't, for those of you who said $300, tell me why. Was it something I said? I want to know, did I muddy the waters a little bit in the beginning, dirty up the waters? So not for a VP. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like it's dependent upon other people's resumes and what you get. And if you really needed somebody, you might give them a call. And also sounds like maybe for creative director, but not for a VP. So if he wants to make a move up, he's going to need some hard and fast numbers. Now, he did tell us that at his company, in his department, they did not have access to numbers. And I always say, well, that's a shame, but we're still going to work on them. And we're still going to come up with estimates. And we can say estimate, good faith estimate. I always call estimates a good faith estimate because we always go on the conservative side, really low. Let's say if it's between $12 and $15 million, we'll go on the $12 million. We'll say approximately $12 million. So, I know that we have, I just keep talking. So let me go into, I'm going to share my screen again. And now we're going to go into ours. Let's see. Hold on just a moment. Okay. All right. What are we seeing here? One moment. I'll make sure we're seeing something. Oh, I think it's just being slow. Yeah, it is. Let me stop sharing, make sure that it's up. Give me just a moment. Give me just a second. Oh, I'm having trouble pulling it up. Here it goes. I think I got it. Oh, let's see. I am so sorry, guys. All right. Here we go. Now I'm going to turn my screen share on. All right. So this is a CRC resume, or at least the CRC resume as it looked a few years ago. So Brenda is also, she's in marketing, and she was looking for a CMO role, Chief Marketing Officer. Her issue was, and the reason that she wasn't finding a position, and she was unemployed when she came to us, was that if you look down here, she was Vice President of Global Business Development. Before that, she was Senior Director, North America Sales Operations. And before that, she was Director, North America Marketing and Inside Sales. So she really hasn't had a strategic marketing position since 2010. So that posed an issue for her, because if she hasn't done marketing and she's been mostly in sales, that's not good. So what we needed to do is frame that information so that it was just revenue that she brought in, which is not, I mean, we're spinning it, but we're not exaggerating and we're not lying. So the reason that you see another one here is because this resume bundle is what we're going to give you toward the end of the hour. So I'm gonna go through this faster, but I would really like to know your first thoughts when you see this. If you got this on your desk and you're a hiring manager, what would be your first impression of this one-page resume? Where it says Chief Marketing Officer, it's got 3 core strengths, and it's got some numbers down here. Perhaps you need to see it in more detail, and that's what I will do right now. Woo, okay. Here we go. All right. So let's run through this. I still want to have enough time to answer your questions, so I'm going to spend about 10 minutes on this, and because I want to keep it to an hour if I can. All right. So Brenda, we've got information, and we've got hirebrendao@gmail.com. It's a little trick that I always tell my clients, or I tell some of my clients, if you need to make a new Gmail account, or if you need to make a new account, because you get a lot of stuff coming into your regular email address, open up a Gmail and call it hire and your name. And that's what she did. It was so cool, because it's a little catchy, it's a little cute, and they look at it and they smile. If you can make someone smile before they meet you, that's actually very, very good. So then right up at the top, we've got Chief Marketing Officer, Senior VP of Marketing, meaning that she's available for a Senior VP if they don't want her for a CMO. She's very well qualified once you see her numbers. So right underneath that, and when you see this, and I need to turn on my, there we go. Gotta be with my marker. So when you see this, this immediately tells the reader what you're looking for and at what level you feel qualified. And that's important. He had his job title up top, and it was the same job title that he held. I don't know if he's looking for the same job title in the same $17 billion enterprise, or something similar to that, or if he's willing to go VP or even higher with a smaller mid-sized company, 500 million to $1 billion. But this tells people immediately what you're looking for. Now, we always tell our clients during the resume presentation that this is a placeholder. If you're applying to anything online, or you hear something about a job, put the job name up top there, so that when it comes into that company, they know when they pass it around to other people, they know what you're looking for. They know what you're applying for. They know what process you're in. Okay. So let me get rid of that. So I want you to read these. This is the next 2 lines. And as you can see, I'm going to read it for you. Growth positioning, revenue generator, product launch proficiency, matrix management expertise, new business acquisition, global market expansion. She works globally. Organizational change agent, and creative kingpin. Okay, that was a little over the top, but it worked. Her search after we made this for her was around 6 months, and she was able to get a very nice job, a CMO job, local to, I think it's around the Denver area. In fact, she actually came back to us a few weeks ago, and she's starting another search. She wants to move up, which she should. So now she's got enough leadership experience and a lot of other, she got exposed in this company because this was back in 2017 that we worked together, or 2018 maybe. And so it's been 3 or 4 years since we've worked together. And in those 3 years of experience, she's been exposed to operations, supply chain, finance. She's done it all. So she can be a COO now. But this is with she got a role as CMO with a company local that I believe the compensation was around 300. And when you added in the equity bonus in the beginning, especially because they were looking to grow very fast. They were looking to grow from 300 million to 500 million. I believe the total comp was around 500,000 a year if we look at the vesting schedule. So, you know, if they're wanting to grow to 500 million and they need the person that will help them do that, there's nothing wrong with saying, listen, if you want to be a $500 million company, you got to pay me like I'm the CMO of a $500 million company because I'm going to get you there. How can you argue with that? How can you argue with that? Especially if they've already offered you the job, they know you're the person, and they just, they want to know how much is it going to take to, sorry, give me just a second. I guess I double highlighted. All right. So now I'm going to read you the summary paragraph. I know we got to go faster, but you know, I'll say a few things. Let me just describe the summary paragraph. So it has a really large number at the top. So I'll read you the very first sentence. As an astute revenue generating authority, so that means that she generates revenue. I have built a powerful reputation of earning my employers over $787 million in top line revenue as a master of innovative marketing and strategies. Now, the word innovative, this was back in 2017. That was before it became trite. If you've got innovative on your resume, you can take it off now, as well as out of the box thinking. Take it off. But what we want to do is tell someone what you can do for me. Like, for instance, after I explain what she does, I say this has proven to be a powerful combination. I've catapulted marketing and sales teams to exponentially grow businesses in a multitude of industries. So she's been along a lot of industries, different industries, and you know, she's catapulted that. She's also, this is not the place to put a lot of numbers, with the exception of that big first number. I would challenge you to sit down and think about everything that you've impacted from a top line revenue or a bottom line savings. I would put all of those together, lump them all together into impact. How much impact have you had over the course of your career? Put it down. Take some time to add it together and put it down, because it's so attractive. For instance, this is a $300 million company, and he got this resume. He got it hard copy in the mail, and he called her the same day. It was fast. It was fast. The last thing I want to say about the summary paragraph is that we've got a call to action on here. A call to action is basically telling someone what you want them to do. And studies have shown that in writing, when a call to action is given, then it increases the likelihood of a response, meaning the response that you want, by 34%. So it's the same as if you're watching an infomercial and they say, call now, and in the next 30 minutes, and you're going to get double your offer and free shipping. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do. So it's, if you want to position your company for growth and you need a clever strategic leader to maximize performance, let's have a conversation about how I can help you achieve your next level of success. And that's exactly what the CEO wanted to hear. He wanted growth. He wanted to grow his business. And she didn't want to work for a really large company. She had done that before. So she wanted to work for a smaller company like his. So then when we look at the 3 core strengths, these are very important. Probably the most important thing, if I look at everything on the resume, these 3 core strengths tell you what she's good at. This is her brand distilled down to 3 core strengths. So she's a revenue producer driving impressive growth, organizational turnaround expert, which she is, and extraordinary servant leadership. Okay? That gives you an idea of her big 3 core strengths. And the cool thing about it is that when we go down here to selected accomplishments, look here, we are unpacking each of them with some really good receipts. So immense revenue generation, turnaround expertise, and extraordinary leadership. Now we go into key skills. This key skills paragraph, that's where those softer skills belong. Now, if you remember up here in these 2 lines, those are hard skills. Those are experience factors. Down here in key skills, we've got strong executive presence with solid skills managing multiple and complex teams and initiatives, brings calm and focus in the midst of chaos, boundless ingenuity, entrepreneurial tenacity, fervent risk taker, promotes new ideas and practices in both cost savings and revenue generation through genuine and authentic leadership. All right. So then we've got her bachelor's in the middle of the front page. Now, it's only 1 page, so we had to put it somewhere. I didn't want it down at the bottom. I wanted it in the middle so that everybody can see it. A lot of our clients have spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money getting an MBA or a master's, sometimes PhDs, sometimes MDs, sometimes JDs. We get them all. So we want to show that because we don't want that hidden down at the bottom of the 3rd page or even the 2nd page. But I want you to pay attention. I'm even going to make this 200% so you can see this. I hope you can see it. So I just want to show you, if we can, okay. If we talk about, for instance, reporting directly to the CEO, oversaw both internal and external sales support teams and launched aggressive aid strategies, increasing qualified leads 665% in 12 months, valued at $346 million while providing an incremental $98 million revenue stream. Holy smokes. Adding 1.3 million in incremental revenue. And for those of you who don't know, incremental means new, that it never happened before. In other words, it's new clients, new markets, new channels, anything like that. Grew qualified sales lead funnel 473% in 8 months, valued at 186 million. Okay, I like this lady already. Turnaround expertise. She was appointed by the CEO and repositioned marketing from a support function to an operating division, increasing profit contribution by 1,072% to 10 million in 5 years. Notice how we have a lot of numbers in here. And I'm making it really big so that you guys can read this because it's just so impressive. I'm just so impressed with her. But that's the thing. If you've got these numbers in your career, especially if you've got, for instance, 80% growth over the prior year, that sounds great. But was that a startup that she doubled in revenue? Because that's easy. Or you've got, 50% here. And then under leadership, we've got, building an account management team, grossing 43 million in 2 years, 48.2x cost efficiency. So notice what we have here that we didn't have with Brad Pitt. We had a lot of numbers here. These are the receipts that Brad did not bring. So got one last piece that I want to show you, and it's the career summary. And that is, it's like a footnote. It's almost like something really quick. Hey, by the way, these are my job titles. In other words, it's not centric to your job title because she wants to be a CMO, but she hasn't been in, according to this, she hasn't been in marketing since 2010. So we need something like a functional, which I should say hides or minimizes any liabilities. Another liability she had was that she was unemployed for a while. So we needed to make sure that was done. Now when we write resumes for people, we do both a functional and a chronological that's 2 pages. But our chronological is all of these wonderful numbers put in chronological order And it has the top of the resume, the top half of this first page is exactly the same in the chronological.